Yeah, okay, so I have to admit something. This game is amazing, fantastic, incredible, stupendous. I'm not sure what other adjectives I could use other than all of the positive ones. And I didn't expect it at all. I want to preface this video by saying I've never played a God of War. I know, don't hate me. I just never got around to it, and it's crazy because I love games just like this. I grew up on Prince of Persia. I grew up on Devil May Cry. Hacking and slashing my way to victory was one of my favorite genres of video games. I just didn't really play too much PlayStation as a kid, and God of War was one of them games that I just completely overlooked. So when I heard a new God of War game was coming out, I didn't expect it to be bad. I didn't think it was going to be terrible. From what I had seen of it, I thought it was pretty cool, but they had taken that jump to a very more story-based style video game. And while I love my story-based style video games, a part of me was like, I've never played a God of War. I don't care too much for the character or the stories because I have no attachment to it. So for me, taking that jump to a story-based game with this character, I could take it or leave it. I wasn't excited. I didn't expect to be blown away. I didn't expect to find what has easily become one of my favorite games of all time. And I know there's so much hype around this game right now. I know it's getting almost near perfect scores around the globe. And I'm sure a lot of you might be sick of hearing that, but I can't deny that in the case of God of War for PlayStation 4, the hype is so real, I can't even contain it. Almost so unique and such an amazing experience that I really don't want to review it too in depth and go into too much detail because I'll ruin things. I'll give so many spoilers, and I don't want to do that. I am a firm believer that a video game is an experience. And in so many cases, those experiences shouldn't be ruined by a YouTube review. I would consider gameplay mechanics a spoiler because they just haven't been done exactly like this before. But I am going to do my best to talk about this game today, tell you why I love it so much, and it's not every day that I get a game that I would easily put in my top 20 favorite games of all time. And for it to be a game that's a sequel to a very long lineage of a franchise of video games that I've never touched or played or really even been that concerned with, it almost blows my mind. There are so many things I love about this game, I almost don't know where to start, but I guess I'll start at, if you've played Last of Us, and I don't want to compare these games at all, but if you've played Last of Us, there are some similarities. If Last of Us had the pacing of this game, Last of Us would have been a better game. Because something that God of War manages to do that Last of Us didn't is keep the game moving so fast and keep everything so fresh without overwhelming you. It takes that linear approach to video games, but it also meshes in an open world-ish aspect. There are quite a few areas that are really large, and you can take a break from the story and explore these areas and find chests and find objects and even find little bits of story that you would have missed otherwise. But even when it's sticking to that linear format, the areas you go through are so big and expansive that there are a lot of paths and different avenues you can go down. It never really feels like you're on one direct narrow path. There's always branching options for you to explore. And the story it tells along the way is one of the most epic, mythical and magical stories that have ever been told in a video game. Again, I take that Last of Us mindset of the amazing story it told and the connection it had through its characters. You put that in a God of War skin when you're talking about gods and mythology, the larger than life characters that you meet, and just the entire adventure you go on. I just want to use the word magical because it truly is. The voice acting is incredible. In fact, if you're a fan of old school Stargate, I adore Stargate. Kratos is voiced by Tilk, and he does such a great job at being a hard ass, unrelentingly way too hard on his kid. Tough to a T, he doesn't let any crap get by him, and his character is so strong.
Your anger, you can get lost in it. The path ahead is difficult. And you, Atreus, are clearly not ready.
Not only strong in the voice acting and his actual character, but if we move on into the gameplay aspect of this game, you feel strong. I had a lot of friends who have played all the God of War games tell me that in this game, you truly do feel like a god compared to the other games. And I have to say, without playing the other games, I feel the same. You feel that level of strength in the gameplay, not only from the sheer amount of enemies and incredibly large enemies that you face pretty much on your own with your son, taking them down in the most epic of ways. But the actual gameplay itself and the way you move as Kratos feels so powerful, feels so heavy. It's incredible what they done. Again, I knew little to nothing about this game. I didn't know that a key mechanic in this game is you have this really cool axe. Really heavy axe that feels heavy. Not only do you go crazy attacking with and have a lot of abilities that I'll talk about briefly, but the main mechanic is you throw it, and whenever you want, whenever you're ready, you can call it back Thor style, and it comes spinning back to you and you catch it. And that mechanic never gets old throughout the entire game. When I'm walking from place to place, I'm just throwing the axe and bringing it back and catching it. I can't stop. I just want to keep throwing it like a boomerang and having it come right back. You can throw it and just leave it and not care. You just walk away from it for as long as you want. An enemy spawns in front of you and they start running towards you. You feel like a badass because you're like, what? No, I have no axe, don't worry about it. Axe, catch it, and start wailing on them. You throw the axe, get it stuck into their head, run up to them and start punching the crap out of them. You see someone up there about to shoot at you, so you pull the axe back out of the head and you throw it up there. You Spartan kick people away from you. You see someone else running from over there, you call the axe back to you and you throw it to them. It's just action-packed, and I never got sick of the gameplay. That axe just feels so heavy and so weighted. It is the coolest thing to throw around. And you can mix up your fighting style and your gameplay style in so many different ways. I don't want to talk about too many of the ways I found to mix it up, because the joy of finding these upgrades and getting better at the game is something you just need to experience. But it's like unlocking skills that let you throw your axe and have it spin just in one place on someone for a while you're punching someone else. There are so many skills like that you can find and unlock, and it really leads to you feeling like you have complete control. You are a god. You can do what you want. If you want to use that axe and cut off heads, you can. If you want to use your fists and go into full Spartan rage mode and just start punching the crap out of someone, you can. Whatever tools it gives you to use, you can use them in any way you want, and it feels like you are destructive. So that's the gameplay. I'm not going to talk much more about it. I think you can tell how amazing I think it is. Very early on, again, I'm not going to ruin anything, but in the story, very early on, you get into a fight with another character, and it felt like I was living an anime fight, an over-the-top, crazy action, Dragon Ball Z, Hunter x Hunter style fight, trading blows and throwing each other and hitting the guy with a tree. And it was a fight that went on for like, it felt like 20 minutes. I don't know if it was that long, but it just felt like it kept going, and it was incredible. And right at the start, I was like, nothing can compete with this. The game's gonna be downhill from here at this point. It showed its hand too early, and yet somehow it gets more and more epic as you play, and the crazier things that you couldn't even imagine just keep happening and getting better every time. And the visuals, I'm playing on a PlayStation 4 Pro with HDR and a 4K TV, so I'm kind of spoiled and I realize that. But the visuals are insane. It's like I'm playing a work of, I mean, all games are a work of art, but in this game, I almost get moved to tears with how beautiful and amazing some of the locations look in this game. The lighting effects, just the sheer amount of scenery and little details. There is so much going on that it's easy to miss. It's so overwhelming. And even when you're just in a cave, the atmosphere and the lighting in the cave, it was always hard to make games look good in the dark. But the lighting effects in this game, even in the dark, look incredible. And the parts that look really mythical, with the purple lighting in the sky and the weird trees and leaves, it's second to none with how gorgeous this game looks. After Everywhere started reviewing this game, and the scores were obviously as great as they were, the developer of the game posted a video where he's literally crying over how well the game's being received. And he said that reviews shouldn't matter, but he's so damn proud. Hats off to him, man. 5 years he spent of his life working on this game. You can tell it was an absolute passion project, because as soon as people told him it was great, he was in tears. And that passion shines through. The thing with AAA titles, and this is a big point I want to make, when these big budget titles get hyped up, I know No Man's Sky wasn't a AAA title, but it was insanely hyped up. Mass Effect Andromeda, a new Mass Effect game, insanely hyped up. These big AAA budget titles can easily fall flat and not live up to the hype, because they feel too manufactured. They feel like they've just been pumped out. Ubisoft games, I gotta give them credit, the new Assassin's Creed Origins was a huge step up, but it's still that feeling of just this big, Goliath company putting out the next game they're making, a new AAA game, super hype behind it. You play it, yeah, it's either, yeah, it's pretty fun, or you get let down. It's very rare that it hits that Last of Us level of the hype is actually real. And when that does happen, it's because of the passion and the love that was put into the game. This game was an absolute passion project that this dude and a team of people spent 5 years working on, and the end product is something very special. I wish I could talk about it more, but the things I want to talk about I would consider spoilers. Things like the dynamic of the relationship between Kratos and his son, other gameplay elements, other characters, other story elements. I guess one thing I will say, that the Blue Dwarf is by far my favorite character in the game. Hands down, he has had me laughing out loud, which is something I usually don't do. I'm literally laughing out loud every time that guy speaks. There is so much more I would love to talk about, but I can't ruin it, and I feel like if you think my reviewing opinion is worth a damn, I've more than tried to convince you guys to go out and try it and play it. If you have a PlayStation 4, you're really letting yourself down if you don't play it. For what this game set out to do, for what it aimed to give us, and the final product that was released, 10 out of 10 easy. And I struggle to give games 10 out of 10. That's not me trying to say it's the perfect game or it is a perfect game, even though I think it is so near perfect. But again, what it set out to do, 10 out of 10. I really appreciate you guys watching this video and sticking out this far, because there are so many reviews of this game out there, both on YouTube and literally everywhere. And I'm really happy you guys are here and listening to my opinion. I would love to hear what you guys think of this game. If you share my opinions, if there's things you'd rather it have done differently, or if you just don't like it compared to other God of War games. It's a very different game. If you took one of my favorite series of games of all time and changed it this much, I might have a hard time adjusting to it. So what do you guys think? Are you a huge fan of God of War and you're not too sure about this recent addition to the series? Let me know all of that down below. Like this video because I really appreciate it. Subscribe, because we become best friends when you do so. Huge thank you to the Patreons that make this possible each and every day, that I edit and make videos. I couldn't do it without you guys. As you guys know, I always like to end my videos on some kind of joke, just something that would make you laugh. Right before that outro music starts to play, and then you see that little outro screen. So I prepared a special skill for you guys today. That's what I'm bringing to the table this time. It's a special skill. It's taken me weeks to perfect this. What's a special skill I have?
You can juggle.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm actually scared I'm gonna drop one of these because they're all weighted differently, but this is for you guys. Subscribe. Oh, I intentionally dropped the one that wouldn't break. See ya.